Hey guys, welcome back. So this is a continuation of hybrid driven project framework. So in our last few lectures, as you know, that we have created a project, based on this structure using a Maven, and then we completed all those things, like you created page object classes for a home page and registration page, and then we create a base component to have the common constructor that we use in our page object classes. We put it up here in base component, and then we created register test underneath our the test case package, and then we also created a base class, so that the reusable methods that we use for our test cases, we put everything in our base class. Okay, and also we optimized our script, all those things. So in this lecture, we're going to see this how we can add logs to your test cases or test class, okay, by using log4j2 API. So what is log4j2 first? So it is an Apache, it comes from the Apache family. Log4j2 is an API that's used in frameworks. And it's in this log4j2, it is the log4j2, it's a version of log4j. So this is the latest version for the log4j. And it will give you what's exactly it will do. This one, how it is, then it is the app will record all the events happen in the form of text. So that's what exactly log4j does. So it helps you to create a log for different events that happen in your script in the simple text format. In the log4j, there is a log labels. It has a log labels hierarchy. Are those like all, trace, debug, info, warm, error, fatal, and off. These labels of messages to be filtered. Those are the all the log labels hierarchy. So if you turn on, if you filter all, it means it will create all different type of log, all of them underneath. If you turn on or filter for trace log, so it will create trace log including debug, info, warn, error, fatal, off. So it's based on, so this is the hierarchy. So it depends on what type of log you want to filter. Based on your selection, your choice, it will create that log file. Okay, now the question is, what is specific log event level should be used? It really depends on the purpose of using log. Example, in the development field, it's normal to use debug log. So in the development project, usually developer, they use the debug. So it's give you a lot of it's kind of like a complicated log, but it's really helpful for a developer to debug their problems. Okay, so debug log events, whereas in the production, we should use info or the warn level. For the automation, usually we use info. For automation project, info or error, we use that kind of log. Okay, so what exactly meaning of all? So all, it means like when all events should be logged. So whatever the event we do through our script, it will create the log for each and every event it's happened, whether it's debug, trace, everything's when you choose all levels of log. And the trace, so then trace, it means like when a fine grained debug message, typically capturing the flow through the application. So through your application flow, it will trace and create all the logs. And then the debug is, debug is like when a general debugging event required. And then info, it means when an event for informational purpose. And warn, next one is warn. Warn is when an event that might possibly lead to an error. The next one is Error rate means it's when an error in the application possibly recoverable. And the next one is when a server error will prevent the application from continuing. Okay. And the off, if you choose off, so it will not create any log when you choose the off log labels. Okay. And through the enter log, a log4j API, we need to know a couple of terminology. What are those? Those are appenders. Number one, so appender, it means where to generate logs. Okay, where to generate logs. Usually, we generate logs in two ways. One is console, in your console, or through a file. Okay, so through the appender area, you have to ensure that where we're going to, what format logs you want to generate, through the console or through the file. And the logger means what type of log should generate following the log level. So we have a log levels over here. So you have to choose, what would be your log level, that you want to create. Like, you want to create like info debug level. So underneath the loggers, you have to choose that option. Okay, here is the log4j, their official website. You can see this, the log4j2 is an upgrade to a log4j that provides significant improvement compared to their older version. Okay, that's there. You can have a look, that's their official site. And here is the template of the log file. So log files, we have to configure the log files, like, what would be the based on this two format, based on this appender logger. So this is the very high level configuration. You can see you will have you will have your configuration, and this is a XML format. It's like a template where you can customize this template, based on your appenders. What would be your appenders? You can put your appenders, whether it's console or file level, and what would be the the pattern, layout, everything, the file size, everything you can filter up here underneath appenders. And then here you will find there will be logger. So logger will tell you that exactly, we know this logger, that's you have to confirm underneath the logger section. You have to confirm what level of log file you want to generate. Okay, they give you some of the template and some of the example over here. But for our case, you can see, for our case here, you can see there is a console. This is the console, and so either you can use one of them or you can use both of them. But here is a console. You can use multiple appenders, right? It's console as well as file. Here is an example for the only for console. Okay, then this is the logger format option. So we'll use one of the customize, the log file, log XML file for our project. I will share that file. To use the log file, we need this log4j API in our dependency. Okay, this is the dependency, you can see, or you can just go to ambient repository. Over here, you can just type, log4j. So we need a multiple dependency. So one of them would be, you can see this one, log4j j core. So go there, and then select the latest version. It's the 2.231. Go there and copy this one and go to our project. So in our project, let's open our pom.xml file, add this dependency underneath the dependency here. Okay, here I'm adding. Okay, save it. So we added log4j core. Let's go back to ambient repository here. So there is a more, you can see. So we added this one, log4 core. So we can add few more log4j API, this one. Okay, let's go there and select the same version, So we used the previous one, we used the 2.31, so exactly the same version. Copy this one, go back to your project, pom.xml file, add this dependency. Okay, save it. Let's go back to again log4j, back, and here one more log file dependency we want to add. Here you will see we added core, we added this one log4j API, this one. So this, mostly the first one, the log4 core and the API should be okay, but this is the one, this is another one, SLF. You can see SLF4j, we need sometimes. Okay, let's add this one too. Okay, let's go there and then select the same version number. Okay, copy this back to your pom.xml file and add it over here. Okay, save it. Let's reformat the code. Select Shift F. Okay, Control Shift F. Okay, so it will reformat. Looks good. Okay, so your all the log dependency been added. Let's go to our side of what we're going to do over here in this lecture. We're going to add, so this is our action, add all the dependency to POM. So we added already log4j API, log4j core, and also this one been added. Add log4j to XML file under source test resources folder. So we're going to add a log4. So log4j, it comes with a template. I already showed, this is the template, something, there is a sample in their official site. Based on that, you can use any one of them, but we're going to use one specific one, which is customized. That's will help us to build a real the log, that the way we want to generate our log for our project. Okay, let's close this one. Let's go here. So now we're going to, so I have already that XML file, log4j XML file. Okay, I'm going to paste it in our project. So where we're going to put, we're going to put under source test resources folder. Okay, let's go there. Source test resources folder, source test resources folder. Here you can see source test resources folder. If you remember, when you create this project, okay, that time this folder didn't automatically build or create. So we created that time manually this folder. So because log4j is a resource type of file, so that's why you need to put in the resource folder, and it's better to put in the same source test, so that because we're going to generate our test log file based on our test script. That's why I put in the source test resources. So if you follow our classes, earlier classes when you started this hybrid project, I showed you how to create the folder. It's very simple. Okay, so I'm going to paste the file, log4j file. Let's open that and then I will explain you. And don't worry, I will give you the link in the description so that you have this XML file. Okay, so so this is the configuration. So this is the XML file, log4j is the configuration file, like how the log file will generate, what type of log we want to use, like what would be your appender, what would be your logger. That's what you have to define or configure in this log file. Based on this configuration, your log file will be generated. So where is the properties? The properties is nothing, where the log file will generate, where. So here is the, I declare a variable, it's called base name. You can say property is a base name. So in this variable, I mentioned where the log file will generate. We said, dot slash, it means your project level, the directory path. In your project level, there is a folder called logs. So if this at the beginning when you create this project, we create all those folders. So here is a log folders, you can see. So base path is a variable where I assign or declare the root where the log file is going to create. Okay, that's what about this, the properties. And then here is an appender. So appender is like, what would be the, what would be the your, so appender, it means where to generate the log. Is that going to be generated on console or a rolling file? So here is the console options. This is the two appenders. You could have a one appender, you could have a both. It's totally up to you. Okay. So here is I put a both option here underneath the appender. So appender, and this is the name of the for the console is console, and this is the target system.out. You don't have to remember or memorize all this format, just to have an overall high level idea. So this is the appender for the console, and this is the pattern layout, how the your file in your console log file will show based on there. This is the hours. It will show the minute, and then all the time frame, and as well as with your log file, with your each and every log file log output in your console, it will show by the time. Okay. And then here is a rolling file. So this is the file option. So you can I give a name of the file. It's my file, so that I can use this name as a reference when we're going to say fixed, like what would be the appender in our logger. You have to tell, so I can use as a reference. Okay. For file name, it's whatever file name you give. I give a name is my file. Here is the file name. This is the file name to use this reference for the rolling file in your logger. And here is the file name. This is the file name for when it's going to create this logger in your log folder. What would be the file file name up there. So this is the file name we're seeing. There's a base path. Base path is nothing in this log folder. In this log folder, the name would be automation.log when you will generate the log file. And it's a file pattern. What would be the pattern? The pattern would be in your logs folder. The name would be automation. Then there will be date and then .log. So the name would be like same format, but it will include a date format. Okay. And this will, and here is another pattern layout. So this is the pattern layout. You can see this year, months. It will tell you the date. It will tell you the name, the hours, and then it will create the. So when you for each and every log line, it will follow this pattern. Okay. So log is nothing. It's a message. It's a comment for each and every event you create in your script. Like click on login button. So you can use the log, and the log file will tell you that, okay, it is clicking on the logging button, right? So it's a comment, nothing else. So therefore you can understand each and every event by reading that file. And this is the format. So before the comment, it will follow this format, so that you can easily understand when event was occur, when it was executed, following the date and time frame. Okay. And this is the the size based trigger. So I put a file size. So when you create the log file in your log folder, what would be the size? So this is the file size. I declared that this would be the 5,000. It would be the file size. If the file size is bigger than that, it will create another file. You will see it. And here is another option. This is the optional. This part is optional, but I put it over here because when you run, say if you execute your code every night, like your regression. So every night there will be log file will generate. So you don't want to dump log files over here in your folder and just every day one after another. So rather you can give it some maximum number of log file. So you can say this your log file max 10. This is, and after it's created 10 files in your log folder, like after 10 days or after number of days, so that it can delete after this. So you can say delete all the files older than 30 days. So this is the code for deleting. And delete if you filed base file, the file is created over here, it's more than, it's a max. I think this is the the file, its max depth of the file is 10. Okay, so you can see max 10 file. After it's created max 10 file, as well as if it's more than 30 days, those file will be deleted, because you don't need that, files more than like 30 days older files, or more than 10 files, because to have the 10 files, it will generate the 10 files will be generated based on number of days execution. So probably you don't need older logs, the very old logs, and just pile up in your log folder. Other than, it's better to clear, and this part will clear your older log. And here is a appender, right? This is the closing appender. Here is a logger. So what will logger? Logger will, you have to declare through the logger part what log level you want to use. So here you can say debug, anything. So you can say all trace debug info, whatever the you want. So I can put over here, let's put over here info. Okay, for automation mostly we use info. For the developer, they use mostly debug, and debug is a little bit complicated. Log usually the developer they use, okay, to debug their problems. Save it, and you can refer over here what type of log you want to create. What would be your appenders? Is that a console or rolling file? I want to better to have a file in your log folder, because if you create a log file in your console, it shows here, right? Right, console will show over here, console. So after you execute, it will show over here, and then if you execute again, it will be removed, right? So better to have a log file always in your as a file format, right? So that's we're saying that we're using appender reference. So what's the appender reference name? Is my file, because I give a file name for a rolling file is my file. Okay, and this is the closing of the root, and this is the closing logger, and this is the closing of confirmation tag. Okay, so this is very high level about the our log4j XML, and based on this configuration, the log file will be generated. Okay, so now let's go to our base class. So if you remember that the base class, that's which is under our source test folder, right? Source test folder. So base class, we have all the common methods like a initialize driver, setup mesh method, tear down method, and all the common other method that we can reuse in our test cases, right? So when we need to update our base class. If you see our the note here, so add all the dependency. We did add all the dependency. Add log4j XML file under source test resources folder. We already did that part. Now it's saying over here, those are the links related with some of the links related with the log, and here now we have to update this part, update base class to load the log4j file. So let's go to the and then we'll add the log statement to our test script. So why you need to update our base class? Because based on your configuration log4j file over here, when you run our script, it first have to load through the log4j file, have to be load through our base class, because first our base class will be trigger to generate the log files, to do the common things like definitely your base file should have the knowledge about the log file, so that how we configured in our log4j XML file. So base file definitely is the first this class need to have the knowledge about our log4j file, and from there it will generate the log file when you will put the log statement in our test script. Okay, let's go where we're going to use. Okay, let's see here and it have to be triggered. The log4j file should have to be triggered at the beginning, right? At the beginning, it means it have to be under the setup method. because setup method is the first method will be triggered, from any other classes, any other methods you have in your test cases. So this is like one of the prerequisites, right? Similar, log4j have to also load, at the beginning of your execution. So let's put over here, I would say log4j should be even before your setup. Okay, it have to be loaded here even before initialize our driver. Okay, here we want to add here. So for the log4j API that we added in our dependency from that, so that API is now, it's already added to our project. So log4j API, there is a class, it's called log manager. So in this class there is a method, it's called get logger. You'll see get logger, you can see get logger. Okay, get logger. So we want to log4j log manager. Underneath the class you have a get logger. This will get logger method will load our log4j2 XML file from this source resources folder. So this will be load this, so because we have to load our log4j this XML file, which is a configuration file, at the beginning of our execution, so that based on that execution, log4 log is statement being created in our test cases. Okay, so this is the method. So let's put this one, I would say, for this log manager. So we'll put this one in a variable. Let's say, I would say, what would be the variable would be logger. Okay, and then let's make this, so now if this logger variable is assigned this, so it's log manager. So inside the log manager there is a lot of methods. So we're moving forward, we're going to use this object reference, this logger object reference, so that all the method we have in log manager we can use to generate the log, the log in this logs folder. So let's make this object in public. Okay, let's put it over here. So we'll say, let's put it over here. So we'll say public, and then the variable and the return type for this logger variable. Return type would be, what would be the return type? Return type would be also logger. Okay, hover your mouse, input the package. Let's see what would be the package. So one important thing when you're going to import the package from the logger, so here is the package should be here. You can see Apache log4j, this one. Okay, let's see. Yes, so it will come. This is the two package you will import. Okay, this is important. If you choose the wrong package, so then you will see that you're not able to use this logger. Okay, so here again, this is we created we call this log4 manager. It's coming from our API that we added in our dependency for the related to the log4j, and inside this it has you can see there's a two class. One is called log manager, another one is called logger. So we call the log manager and use get logger method. So get logger method, it will load the log4j, load log4j from XML, right? XML, from this XML log4j XML file. Okay, it will load it, and then we put this one in a variable logger, and the return type should be, this is the return type. So this is the return type, but we made this logger, this object, as a public so that we can use this object reference moving forward in our test cases, and use some of the method, to generate the log file, okay, to create the log file. So that's why I remove this one and make it public. Okay, hope it's clear. So this is the update for the log file for the logger in our base class. Okay, now see how we can add the log statement to our test cases. Okay, why is the base class is still it's showing error here? Why it's, let me save it again. Okay, it's gone. Now we're going to add the log statement to our test script. So where is our test script? It is our, so before we go again, see the log4j. So the configuration is status is info, and you can see our logger label is info. So it means we can create a log file about the info level. Okay, so let's go to our test script, which is the registration test cases. All right, here we can see the for each and every event, it's totally up to you what event you want to log, you generate the log. So example, the beginning of your script. Okay, so beginning of our script, this one, beginning of our script. So for this method, this is the test method. We can say this starting this method, right? That registration test cases, we can say. So, and it will be the log would be the info level, right? So how you can use, so if you remember that in our base class, we make a public this logger variable. Okay, so let's use this logger variable, and using logger variable in our test method, we can call any method related from the logger class. You can see if you put the logger, this variable object reference dot, you can see the logger, what type of logger we have, all the different type of logger, info, debug, you can say debug, error, fatal, and all the logger level you will find over here. See, debug, right? So if you want to use info, just type info, you will find info. Okay, info. So select info. That's you don't need to put all this. Okay, so info, inside the info you can just put a string message. Okay, string message. So we can say here, let's say we say starting, so at the beginning, since we're putting this logger info at the beginning of our test cases execution, so we can say starting, starting registration test, right? We can say starting registration test. Okay, that's what we can say. And then you can put, right? So this will display, it is like comment. Okay, it's log is nothing, it's all about the comment. So this is the beginning execution, it will print in your log file. And then this line, so here you can see we clicked on my account, so you can put another log over here. Okay, if you want, we can say clicking on my account, right? So you can see that, or clicked on my account link. Okay, so any reason, any okay, if didn't click up here in this, in this line, through this line, it's supposed to click on my account, right? So if you go to, this is our, so it's supposed to click on my account. Okay? For the home page, it's supposed to click on the my account. So if some reason it didn't click on the my account, that link, reading the log file, we can understand, the execution got stuck or stopped after this line, after this log file. So we can understand that, okay, it worked up until this, but after that, after this line, it didn't work. So it means something wrong with this line. Okay, similar, same thing. So we can say click on, you can create another one over here, the log, click on register link, right? Register link. So it's totally up to you, for what action you want to create your log file or log statement. Okay, and then you can say for the logging here from through this, from here, I think from here we started to, we started to pass the first name. We started to set the first name. You can see then it's the last name. Through this is the last name. Then we enter the email. Then we enter the telephone number and so on. So like we fill up the registration from starting from here up until I believe here, up until here, confirmation password, right? Up until. So for all of them, you can create just one log file. You can say here, let's edit this one. We can say entered, I would say registration details, enter registration details. Okay, that's what you can say. You can do. You can remove this part. Okay, since it's not starting anymore, so I would say remove for the clicking. Definitely we don't need this format. We can use this one only at the beginning, right? And let's remove this. So enter registration details. Okay, enter registration details. Then it will be continue to enter all the registration details, right? And you can put after that for the click on a policy, you can add this one. Clicked on privacy policy. Similarly, you can add another log here for the before is click on continue button. So click on continue button, right? You can add this one. It's totally up to you exactly, where you want to generate or your log statement, right? And after that, you can add even here what we did here. So here we did after we did the validation, right? We did the validation. We captured the actual message, confirmation message, and then we compared that message with our expected message, and if those match, it will pass. If it's not, it will fail. So we did the validation. So for this all the lines, we can say over here, logger.info, so validating expected versus actual message. That's what we can say. Okay, and at the very end we can add that's the completed, right? So at the very end before the closing, we can say logger.info will completed the registration test. Okay, so we can say that. Save it. Now run. Okay, let's run it. Run it. Test ng. Okay, click on OK. Invoke the browser. Okay, looks good. So test completed, pass, and let's see that our log file been created or not. So it should be created in underneath the logs folder. So just refresh your project. Okay, right click, you can say, you can refresh it. After you refresh, you can see logs folder. So there is a file being created, automation log .log. Okay, this is the log files. So double click, you can see this is the log file. Here we go. So this is the format in the date and time format. After that, you can see starting registration. Okay, starting registration, that's what we added over here at the beginning of our, you remember? So starting registration, beginning of our execution of our test cases, and then clicked on my account link. Here, as you can see, clicked on my account link, right? And then you can see clicked on registration link. Here is a registration link, and then enter registration details. You can find this is enter registration details. Then click on privacy policy, exactly the way we asked to generate our log statement. It's did, and this is the validation. After it's done, it's saying complete registration test. Okay, this is at the very end, you can see the complete registration test. Okay, so that's the way you can create your log file. Okay, and it's same way if you want to change any log level. Okay, If you want to change your log level over here, just come over here. You can change your log level. What will be the log level? Here is, I said info. If you want to debug, you can add the debug. Okay. If you want to add error, you can add that error over here. It's totally up to you. You know what log levels, you know, it's required or the purpose using in your project. Okay. And as I said, like a debug mostly used for the development project, like actual software development project. It's a little bit complicated log. Okay. So that's all about the log, you know, log4j. What is log4j? How to configure the log4j XML file and how to use it in your test cases. Okay, that's all. Thank you.